Hey crafty people! Welcome back to my channel, and in case you're new here, I'm Sarah, also known as Craft Nerd because I'm a nerd who loves to craft. I do paper crafting, card making, junk journaling, and mixed media art. Let's get crafting! Okay, so I want to decorate the front of this, and what I want to do first is I want to put grit paste all along the edges that we're gonna add inks to make it look like it's a rusty edge. So I'm gonna grab some, I think we're gonna go with the grit paste Crypt by Ranger and Distress ink, and I'm just making sure because, okay, I'm on screen. And I'm gonna grab a palette knife and we're just gonna kind of smear some on the edges. And actually before I do that, I'm gonna clue you in on what else I plan on doing. So I've got a bunch of Bendy Straws, and what my plans are is to create essentially pipes going around on here. And so I think I'm gonna do one like that. And I'm gonna add gears to the joints. And then I've got, I don't know where these came from. I ordered them online, and I don't know how well you can see. So they are for like circuits, I think. I don't know. I bought them online, and they've been sitting in my stash forever. So I figured let's add a few of those in some spots. So I've got that, and then I figured I'd add one going this way. I haven't cut this one yet, and then I had it all laid out, and now I'm like, I can't remember what I did. I think I went like that and had a gear for going on here and some more of these guys, and then I've got a different style one. I picked the ones for my stash that I thought color wise would work with what I'm doing. And then I've got some of the gears from the faux rust video that I did, and I'm probably gonna coat this one so it is shinier like the other piece there. So I thought I'd do that on here, and then a couple actual gears, and I'm probably gonna put whatchamacallit, a brad through those. Now these gears I'm probably going to paint. Those I think I'm gonna leave as is, just because I don't, especially this one, the cheap silvery colored one, do not want it to be that color. But so that's kind of where I'm going with this. So I'm gonna move these guys out of the way. We are gonna start by adding our grit paste all around the edges, and then we have to let this sucker dry. And then we'll work on assembling everything else that's going on here. So I'm just gonna grab a palette knife and dig into my grit paste, and I may end up using my fingers to help smooth it out. So yeah, I just want to put grit paste to add a little texture along my edges. I'm hoping this is gonna stay stuck on, because yeah, you need to use your paste, and unfortunately I tend not to use them as often as I should, and so they can get a little funky. So I'm hoping that my grit paste is going to stay adhered well. All right, now that I have put it all around my edges, I'm gonna set it aside and let it dry naturally, and then we are gonna add some inks and or paints, I haven't decided yet, to it, because to give it like a rusty feel along the edges. So I'm gonna set this aside and let it dry completely, and then we'll come back and ink it up so that it looks like rust. Okay, it's dry and it's on, and what we're gonna do is add some color to it. And I think we're gonna start with inks and we're gonna see how that goes, but we may switch to paint. And I'm gonna grab some Distress Oxide Rusty Hinge. And I'm also gonna do a little Salvaged Patina and probably some Uncharted Mariner. Uncharted Mariner. And we'll bring in some browns in a minute, and I'm gonna grab a spray bottle and get this stuff wet. And a paintbrush. And kind of add it in on, and I'm not sure how well this is gonna work just because of the color inherent in the grit paste. My brain's working, really it is. My craft space is still in a bit of disarray, and so my crafty brain's a little bit in a bit of disarray as well. Definitely gonna want to bring in some browns. So yeah, I'm just gonna go around, add some color to our paste to get it rusty hinge in there, just because that's, you know, rusty. And you know, if you've seen certain things rust, they get some greens and blues in there, and we're definitely going to bring in some browns. I think the oxides are working pretty good because there's a certain amount of opacity to the oxides. I think if I use the Stress inks, I'd be getting, it would not be working as well. So yeah, we're just going around, adding some color to the rusty bits that we got on there from using the grit paste Crypt. And I don't mind that my colors are getting a little muddied on the mat, and I'm gonna pull out my heat tool and dry over here just because I'm getting my fingers in it. And let's see, I'm gonna clean this mess up and grab a couple more colors. I'm gonna pull in some Rusty Hinge Distress ink and see what that looks like. Add it in some spots. And I think I'm just gonna come in with a little bit of Scorched Timber, Distress Oxide here and there. All right, I like that. I think that's good for our grungy rustiness along the edges. Now we need to come in and add our pipes. Now, I want to cut them in half. We're gonna see how well this works. So I'm gonna take my straw and cut it in half, hopefully. So half-ish, so that it'll hopefully sit on here better. Although, I also am thinking of putting some pipe cleaner under, just to give it, because it's so squishy, a little bit more structure. And we'll fold that over and see how this works. Just so it's less likely to get damaged. That's gonna go kind of like that, so probably gonna need to defuzz the ends. So I think that's gonna work. Let's try. Let's see what happens with our art glitter glue, which I think I really need to refill. The idea is just that the pipe cleaner is going to help this be a little sturdier on our cover. Yeah, we're definitely going to need to trim off the ends there. I also think I'm going to need to pull out my Fabri-Tac because I don't know how well it's sticking. So I think let's do that. Let's grab our Fabri-Tac. Maybe stuck, but let's go ahead and glue this piece down. I feel like I need to put something on top, but we're gonna do that for a minute. And then we're gonna do one down here that went kind of like so. So let's cut that off. And we'll cut that bit off. And trying to, I think this is so totally an experiment. I think I'm gonna pipe cleaner through this again, and I'm not gonna cut it in half because I don't think it actually helped all that much. But I do think having the pipe cleaner in is gonna help make it sturdier. Let's see. Okay. Going to use Fabri-Tac to kind of add a little glue in there to keep it in place. Now I'm going to end up adding grit paste over this, so that is how we're going to cover up the ends of the pipe where we've got pipe cleaner purple showing. I think that. Glue this one down. I think that's on, and then this piece goes here to the edge. I think I need to cut a little bit more off it. And I need to grab more pipe cleaner. Let me do that. I'll be right back. All right. Well, let's put a little in so that when it goes through, it will essentially push glue through with it. That off. And I'm okay with that. So we're just going to do this. A little glue at that end just to cover up the pipe cleaner. That on, that looks good. And then I had another piece I think I was gonna do over here. It's gonna go to about there, so let's trim that off. And hopefully this piece of pipe cleaner is gonna be long enough and I won't need any more. So yeah, I am so very tired from my craft room reflooring and reorganization and all of that that's been going on. I am just, it was a struggle to get my self back to the craft table today because, let's see this way. It goes this way. Because yeah, it's been a while since I've crafted. My space isn't fully back together yet, so that's a bit of an issue. And it's just like, but since I already missed a week of videos, I did not want to miss another week. All right, so that's gonna be the cover. All right, let's put the weight on there for a minute and figure out what we're doing next. I think what we're gonna do next is we're gonna, cover all of our pipes with some natural sand just to give them all a nice uniform coating. It'll cover the fuzzy bits from the pipe cleaner. I'm gonna just grab my thing of natural sand and did not apparently clean off my palette knife earlier. We're just going to put this on, and I'm gonna end up using my finger to apply it, and it's gonna give the plastic of the straw some grip. Yeah, it's just gonna be easier to do it with my finger. And I'm gonna try not to get it all over the background. So yeah, I'm just making sure I get a good amount on the ends, and then just trying to add a little to the top. And I think for the pipes, what we're gonna do next is give them a coat of distress paints. And actually, I'm just gonna come in and make sure I've got like along here. And I'm not bothered by it being thicker in some spots because we're gonna turn these into like rusty, grungy pipes. So all right, I'll be back once that's all dry and we'll get to painting. Okay, so we are all dry and ready to go, and I have pulled out some distress paints, and I've got Salvaged Patina, Pumice Stone, Rusty Hinge, Vintage Photo, Ground Espresso, and Uncharted Mariner, and those are approximately the ones I'm going to use. We're going to see how we go, and I'm going to start by doing an all-over coating of Pumice Stone. So I'm just going to get a base coat on to hopefully cover up the blue lines and the red lines on my straws and just get us a nice even base coat. So I'm gonna just do this pretty much over the whole thing, and then I will come back and we will add the colors to make it rusty, grungy, and fit in with our cover. Okay, so we are all dry, and you may hear the rain outside going, because yeah, it's coming down pretty hard right now. And so I'm gonna pull out the rest of the paints and just dab some paint on to get these pipes looking like rusty old pipes. All right, so I've got a little bit of ground espresso. Add that on, and I'm gonna be kind of haphazard in my paint application. Tilt it up so I can see the top of the pipes. All right, and now let's grab a little vintage photo and mix that in. And I've got to figure out where I put all of my cloths for wiping off brushes and stuff. I'm still putting things away. I have a feeling it's gonna be a while before I get everything back in place. I keep finding stuff and I'm like, oh goodness, how did I manage to fit all of this stuff in that room? So again, I'm just being very haphazard. Not all that worried about it. for adding our next color, I'm gonna do a little spritzing to see if we can get some ink or some of the paint that is dripping down. Grab a paper towel. Don't know that that did exactly what I was hoping for. But I'm gonna pull out my heat gun and hit it with the heat gun very lightly and not for too long because I don't want to melt the plastic of my straws. All right, let's pull in some Salvaged Patina. Or no, this is Uncharted Mariner. Now the spraying, it is making it a little easier to get it kind of blendy, which is what I want. Especially with the blue, since we're going for kind of a grungy, rusty look. And if you've looked at Rust, it has all kinds of colors in it, including some blues, but I don't want it. Uncharted Mariner is kind of a very strong color, so I want that to get blended in with the other colors we've got going on. Now let's add some Salvaged Patina. Bring in a little more vintage photo in here. Yeah, this is kind of one of those things where you just fiddle around with it until you like how it looks. Just making sure everything's covered. All right, and now let's pull in some rusty Hinge. And yes, I'm putting some underneath because what I'm gonna do is I want to get rust strips happening. Just gonna kind of help that one along. I do want to get a little bit of Salvaged Patina mixed in with those colors. Add maybe a little Uncharted Mariner into this one. And this one. We get a little bit of it over here. This guy. So that's the nice thing with the distress paints is they are water reactive until they're dry. So you can add drips and drops and do stuff like that. All right, I think at this point I'm gonna set this aside and let it dry completely, and we'll see what it looks like when it's dry. And once it's dry, it'll no longer be water reactive, but we can add more layers if we need to and think we need some more inks and colors in spots. And actually, I think I want to add a little vintage photo in with that rust, because the rust is a very bright color. So, all right, I'm gonna let this dry, and once it's dry, we'll come back and see what else we want to maybe do. Okay, so to save time, I went ahead and added some more grit paste and added it along like the unfinished edges. And that stuff's not fully dry, so I'm gonna have to put this on pause again to let it fully dry, because I thought it was, but it's not quite there yet. I also decided it needed a little bit more because why not? So we've got our collection of gears that I'm gonna stick there. I've got these guys, which I need to trim off to put on in various spots along here. And then I had these left over from a project. I took some alcohol inked backgrounds, stamped light bulbs. These are from, I think, 2 different Tim Holtz and Stampers Anonymous stamp sets. I'll leave that information down below. These were left over from the dad card I did. And then I backed them on some book page I had, and I'm just gonna add those kind of like so, because I thought it just needed a little bit more. And then we've got our gears that are gonna go here. So, since the grit paste isn't quite dry yet, I need to let that finish drying. But what we can do real quick is I want to change the color of these 2 gears, and I am going to use Foundry wax, and I'm going to use it in mind so that it'll be closer in color to these gears, which are the ones I really like. So apparently I did not record adding the Foundry wax to the gears. Sorry about that. And they will go on our pipes. One will go here, and one will go here. And I may come in and just grab Distress Crayon and get them a little more antique-y by adding a little walnut stain to them, because like these gears have some, you know, darker bits to them. So let's just add a little bit of walnut stain on, just kind of rub it all off. All right, let's try that again. There we go. Just grunge it a little bit more. So that can go there. And these still aren't quite dry, so I'm gonna leave them sit for a little bit longer. And I may, off camera, do the same thing I did along the edges and add ink to the grit paste I've added on. And then we should be ready to finish assembling the cover. Okay, so I've gone ahead and applied ink to the additional grit paste that I added now that it's been dry. I've got the layout that I want. So we're just gonna go ahead and attach these items. All right, so I'm gonna use Fabri-Tac to attach everything, because I think it's gonna work better with some of like these pieces than my art glitter glue. And I am gonna shorten my wires to attach these. So I think we're gonna cut this guy at about here and there. Let's see how that works. Yep, that works. And then we're gonna shorten this one. That is not, I went the wrong way on that. Oh, I'm still trying to get back into the swing of crafting and recording post flooring redo. All right, so those guys are all gonna go there. So let's just start gluing stuff down. I'll pull this down here and start with this guy. And I think I'm gonna use my tweezers because it's little and that will probably make things a bit easier. Okay, so we are now mostly done with the cover. I think what I may want to do is I found this in my stash, and I think I may want to try and make a closure out of it, in which case I'm probably going to put like a Tim Holtz ideology post through the center of that, whereas I was thinking I was going to do one of like the screw head brads I have. And then have some kind of ribbon going, or lace, or some kind of, not lace, leather if I have some going through it to serve as the closure. And then what I'll do is attach it to here before I put this piece over. And I found it. The centerpiece that I was missing. It was in my fabric paintbrush holder. So I have one of those cases for holding paintbrushes that is made of fabric and you kind of roll up, and it was in there. So I don't know how that got there, but yeah, that's where it was. I was putting away paintbrushes and I was like, oh, there it is. So I think I'm gonna stop here for today, because to add the closure, it's gonna have to get attached here. This piece with the signature has to get installed before I install these pieces, because I think what I'm gonna do is cover this with fabric and the collage paper so it blends in, and have it go across. But since I'm doing a hidden signature, I've got to get the signatures together to go in. So yeah, it's all a big, I've got to do this before I can do that, before I can do this kind of thing. So I think we're gonna stop here with our journal cover, and then come back possibly next week and finish it off and put in the signatures and do all that stuff, I think, depending on whether I can get the signatures all printed out and ready to go, and put together, because I've got them partially ready to go. But let's take a closer look at all of the bits and pieces. So we've got the little circuits, and our Foundry waxed, and then our grungy pipes, and our light bulb, and that gear, and more light bulbs, and more grungy pipes. So that's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, please do all the things that lets YouTube know you enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave me a comment down below. Thanks for joining me, and happy crafting.